Great, we'll get started. Thanks to everybody for coming along, making time for this webinar. My name's Linton Norris and I'm joined by Muskan Magla, and we're from Aristotle Metadata. And we're here to talk to you today about data inventories, and particularly some of the exciting new features we have in Aristotle about data inventories. First and foremost, though, we'll do a welcome to country. So we're attending this meeting from Ngunnawal lands here in Canberra. And of course, we pay our respects to elders past, present and future, and any Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander peoples with us here today. As I said from the outset, we've got about 45 minutes or thereabouts for covering data inventories. It's a key component of what we see is good governance and management of metadata. Of course, just on some housekeeping, we are recording today's session. It looks like on my camera, I've definitely worn the wrong shirt today. Happy for anyone to comment on that who I'm an acquaintance with. But I do note there's a number of you who are joining us who aren't Aristotle clients. So I'll just do a little bit of a background on Aristotle and what are data inventories before Muskan takes us through some examples of the registry, demonstrating that live, particularly with a particular focus on the data inventory function. So what we're going to cover today, of course, is the what and why of data inventories. The current policy settings. So why are we even worrying about data inventories? What's forcing us to do this work? Getting the foundations right. So what, again, some intellectual capital on setting up your organisation to be able to collect and curate the data inventory process. And of course, assisting us doing that, we hope, is some Aristotle metadata software. And of course, we'll demonstrate how you can manage your data inventories around your data assets in Aristotle for the second half of the session. We probably will take, I'll probably talk for about 10 minutes, then Muskan will go through the about 5 examples of the data inventory, or to showcase 5 examples or thereabouts of functionality in the Aristotle Metadata Registry. And it should leave us sort of 5 to 10 minutes of questions at the end. We are recording the session. So again, I think what we are unable to stop that during this process. So again, happy for people to please ask questions. We will be posting this on YouTube, assuming it all goes very successfully. But we do edit out any questions and answers, and of course no participant names are provided in that posting of this recording. Of course, if technology fails us and we lose Wi-Fi, please hold on and Muskan and I will try and rejoin. And the same again, please rejoin if you run into any technical issues. And I'm happy to cover off anything you missed in the question and answer session. Of course, I think we can take that question and answer through comments, as well as I think we can allow mics. But we'll see how we go in a sense of making sure the technology works, and potentially just make a note of what we're talking about and the particular slide that we're on, just so we can come back to that, because what Muskan and I will do is run through both the theory and the practical and come back to questions at the end. So please feel to take down notes and swing back to any areas that you want to cover further. So just a bit of a background for, if I can find the mouse, there it is. Background of Aristotle metadata. As we have a lot of non-client organisations attending today's webinar. So essentially, we provide 2 main software solutions: an enterprise level, user-friendly, complete end-to-end solution for the best practice and governance of metadata, and of course the governance workflows. So essentially a one-stop shop in the curation and documentation of metadata related performance indicators. So your data assets are well understood and discoverable and used in the organisation. And of course, Muskan will go into the Aristotle metadata site in a live sense. So what you're seeing in relation to the responsiveness, this is our live production site. Of course, it's an internal testing area because we have some examples to show you, but essentially you'll see a real version of that software. One thing that's important about Aristotle Metadata is we are compliant with the international standard ISO 11179. So when you're curating your metadata, you're not necessarily learning the bespoke Aristotle product. You're actually applying the international standard in the collection of your metadata. And as we've seen with a number of our clients, the metadata that they collect is within and across borders and across different countries. So being able to come back to the concepts of the international standard are very important. Just to the right on the slide, we have our second product, which is the Tablion Data Portal. It's not the focus of today's webinar, but essentially that's our click and collect data mart, and that's powered by the metadata in the Aristotle Metadata Registry. So we have many client organisations with both of these products sitting in parallel, and essentially what the Tablion Data Portal enables is makes access to the linked data that you have in the registry and in turn your organisation easier, faster and safer. So what we're seeing that with the combination of the two platforms, a real enabler around sharing data, but in a safe and very efficient and effective way, because what we're doing is essentially like a click and collect app that you might use for a major supermarket. You've got a click and collect data mart, and what you're doing is you're actually comparing and understanding and reviewing the metadata of the data before any data flows exchange, and being able to have a conversation about that metadata to make sure it's actually the data you're looking for, get the appropriate digital credentials and have that data provided to you in a very quick and easy automated way. So that's an overview of our products, and happy to take any further questions on that as a follow-up to this webinar, or you can email us at hello@aristotlemetadata.com. But enough on that. Let's get back to data inventories. So essentially what we're going to cover is the why and the what of data inventories. So the first thing I would like to do is cover up what the what is a data inventory. Of course, essentially it's a catalogue or map of your organisational data sets. Usually it's designated by a key set of requirements or key elements of metadata, and we'll talk about the different elements that are both occurring here in Australia, but also overseas that are driving the curation of those things. But essentially it's basic facts about the data and or the data elements within a particular data asset. What does it do? It enables a common understanding of your data through metadata, so everyone's on the same page. So everyone understands what a client might be, a school, a hospital, a resident, a citizen, whatever term that you may use across your data sets. And it also makes that data interoperable in the sense of being able to make sure that you've got common metadata for those common data assets or data elements across all your organisational data assets. So it says, as I said before, it's the key, illustrates the key information about data and provides how each data point interacts with each other. What's good is it usually is, and hopefully what we're seeking is the single source of truth about the data. So why is it there? How is it collected? Under what authority? Who owns it? Where is it used? When was it last updated? All of those magical things that make data analysis reliable and useful. And of course, there the last dot point makes the efficient and effective use of your data and your data assets. One thing it does also do is it mitigates risks, and it also helps you meet your compliance obligations. And I'll touch on the why and the compliance obligations in the next slide. But essentially, having a data inventory or a clear view of your data through an inventory is a major advantage for organisations because it identifies high risk or high value data, and it develops strategies to manage that data through its life cycle. And we will demonstrate that, or Muskan will demonstrate that in some of the examples we take you through today. So just move to the current policy settings. Why are we actually doing this? There are some key legislative requirements here if you're a domestic organisation in Australia. We also have international client organisations we work with, but keeping it relevant to this time slot and also our participants here on the webinar, particularly for our government clients, but also many of these acts cross into the private sector. You've got a range of requirements to meet and that require you to manage your data assets effectively like any other asset that you would have in the organisation, intangible, physical, or any other approach. So what we've got, of course, is the recent Data Availability and Transparency Act. And that's really enabling the Office of Data Commissioners here in the Commonwealth, and it goes across the states as well, the data scheme. And what we'll see is in some of the examples we've aligned Aristotle to make sure it's fully compliant with the ONDC's requirements for data inventories. So again, they've got a requirement in the data scheme for agencies to have an inventory for each of their data assets. By using an Aristotle, you don't necessarily need it, but by using an Aristotle, you can effectively manage that process when it comes to large government departments or large complex data holdings that you may have. Of course, the ONDC asks for 26 or thereabouts data elements, which will demonstrate and show you how they can be collected through the Aristotle platform, but also there's obligations in the Archives Act. I think there's 27 elements, which are slightly different than the ONDC's 26. So we're already at about 40 elements that you ought to be collecting and maintaining for each data asset within your organisation. Of course, then you've got the overlay of the Privacy Act, and what we're seeing with international clients is the GDPR requirements, and they're quite significant, particularly around the sovereignty of data and particularly the citizen access of that data. Of course, having a data inventory about that enables you to understand what data holdings you've got, what obligations you have under your local sovereign legislation, but it also enables you to get key insights into your new data or your existing data that you're bringing into your data assets, as well as, of course, and we're seeing most recently, improving your cyber security protections, because with a data inventory, you know what data you've got, how sensitive it is, where it is, who's got access to it, and of course, with a registry, what data you had, and now you've deleted because you have no purpose for that information. So again, all of that information is managed within the Aristotle portal and can be transcribed into a data inventory. Our last slide before we get into the demonstrations. This is drawn from what I found to be a pretty useful and informative guide produced by the ONDC, so a nice plug there, and welcome any members of that organisation to this webinar. But essentially there's 5 steps. They have 6. I've rolled a couple together in preparation. But what you're looking for is setting up, this is sort of the steps to success in a sense of getting a data inventory working effectively within your organisation. So you've got preparation. So what's the purpose? Getting senior stakeholder buy-in and assessing your maturity. So again, we're an enterprise solution. You don't need an Aristotle to start building out your inventories. I think we do offer an Excel tool and a Word tool for those organisations just starting on the journey. But once you get a number of those things together, you might put it into a SharePoint. Sometimes it can get a little bit difficult to manage, hence where you're looking for an enterprise metadata solution that has a data inventory functionality. Of course, as part of that process, there's collaboration on the enable stage, on the agreement of definitions, the metadata type to be included, and the data governance requirements for the project. And then there's a bit of a discovery piece. What data assets do we have and what do we know about them? Sometimes that's available in a sense of an off-the-shelf curated be it not necessarily up-to-date data dictionary, where you can bring that in to start filling out your data inventory. But essentially what you're doing is going on a journey, engaging with key data individuals within your organisation. I think now in the new world, data is everyone's problem. Maybe it's everyone's opportunity as well, where you're dealing with data stewards and also potentially senior stakeholders like chief data officers and chief knowledge management officers to enable the organisation to run smarter and more effectively. Of course, consolidate those data assets and assess quality. And the best way of doing that is producing a data inventory and starting the curation of metadata on those assets. And when we say 11179, of course, that's an exhaustive standard. But of course, the platform that we operate is customisable so that each organisation is able to align the capabilities of the platform with their maturity, coming back to that first step. So if you're starting on the journey, we certainly appreciate there's a culture change component, a significant culture change component there required. And of course, operationalising it through a system helps that governance process, helps that change management process. And of course, to the final step, which will be demonstrated by Muskan straight after this slide, is the maintenance of that particular thing. Because once you build, it's a bit like the data asset itself. Once you build the data inventory sort of list or resource, and then someone's got to keep it up to date. And as we know, data is a living, I'd say breathing, but it isn't. It's a living, dynamic thing. And every day, every minute, new data is created, be it through legislative instrument or just new insights and new analysis. So again, you might have a new performance indicator that's created from two existing data elements. All of that needs to be captured and managed in a dynamic place. But of course, this is all theoretical in a sense of how to maintain data inventories. I'll hand over now to Muskan, who will demonstrate this in the Aristotle platform. Thanks, Muskan.
Thank you, Lyndon, for a wonderful presentation. Hi, everyone. Today I will be going through how we can import the data dictionaries, the data assets that we have created through Aristotle, and how to just look at as one view in the Aristotle registry itself. So let's get started. Let me start sharing the screen. Sorry for the view. Yeah. So I hope everyone is able to see the screen. Can I get a little thumbs up if we can see the screen?
Beautiful. And what's the first example you're taking us through, Muskan?
Lyndon, I have a bunch of data dictionaries, data assets that I want to import in the registry.
And this is the registry, Muskan?
This is the Aristotle registry. This is my dashboard in the registry where I can see, where I can create my metadata, where I can see organizations which I am part of, a work group, or any open discussions. So because as I mentioned, I have a bunch of data assets that I want to import in the registry today. So let's get started, how I can import it. So from my dashboard, what I need to do is I need to go to Toolbox, where I can find a lot of tools that are helpful while creating metadata in the registry. And on that page, what I need to do is I need to go to the Aristotle bulk creator. So just guiding through, I need to select the type of the data asset which I am importing in the registry. For this exercise, what we are doing is we are importing a bunch of data assets. So I am importing data sets in the registry today. So after selecting that, what registry will direct me towards is whether I need to select the custom fields as a part of the dataset import or whether I need not to. I need to also select the work group because I also want to import alternative names and identifiers as a part of my import today. So if I click the check boxes, what I can see is I can download the template, which will allow me to facilitate that import today. So just stepping through the template once. So the template will allow me to import a lot of content in the registry, some standard data element content as well. Along with that, some custom fields that I have set as part of my that I have set in my registry. Along with that, I can see because I have selected alternative names and identifiers to be imported as well. The import will also help me to import the content with regards to alternative names and identifiers. There is a little format that I need to use while importing the identifiers that I will put it in the help in the chat section later in the webinar. So I have already created my data assets. So what I can do is I can start the process of importing them today. So this is the data assets which I have compiled and I am importing it today. And I can see that system has read all the custom fields and values that are being attached to a particular data assets in my sheet. I'm happy with the import today. What I need to do is to save the changes. I need to click on save metadata, and every data asset is being imported in the dictionary in the registry, in particularly data governance workgroup. So as system is taking a little bit time of importing the data dictionaries, soon it will happen. All the data sets would be successfully imported in the registry with just one click. So I can see like 90 data assets we have imported in the registry through Excel. Just document everything in the Excel and just import it through Aristotle Bulk Creator.
Excellent.
So now I have imported my data assets. I want different users of the registry to see what data assets I have imported in the registry. So where I can see that, before I can see that, I want the administrator of the registry to customize that data inventory for me. Assuming that I am the admin of the registry, how can I create a data inventory view? So I will switch back to my dashboard. From my dashboard, what I need to do is I need to go to Aristotle Cloud dashboard settings, where I can see the data inventory configurations. I would also like to mention the data inventory configurations can be done at two levels in the registry. Firstly, the registry view, and secondly, the stewardship organization view. Guiding what registry view is. Registry view will give you the content which different stewardship organization hold in the registry. And if I want to get the content just particularly within one stewardship organization, I can create a stewardship organization view itself as well. So for today's exercise, what I want to do is I want to create one registry view, which will give me the content which is present all over the registry. So let's get started. So to create a registry view or create a new inventory view, what I need to do is I need to click on create a new inventory. Then I need to define my inventory, why I'm creating the inventory, what is the purpose, what is the name of that inventory. Probably for today's exercise, let's say data inventory webinar. System will allow you to define your inventory as well. So what is the purpose of this inventory? You can use bullet points. You can bold the text. It's a rich text editor. I'm copy pasting the ones which is best suitable for this webinar. Down the line, you can add various filters to your inventory view, such as selecting the visibility, who can view this inventory view, whether it should be visible only to the administrator of the registry, any authenticated user, any user who have the account on the registry, or any public user can view this. So for today's activity, let's keep it to the administrators. I can also I can particularly restrict my inventory view to a particular stewardship organization, although it's not mandatory. If I don't select it, the inventory view that is created will have content from all stewardship organizations that are part of this registry. I can also select what if a content is being endorsed by any registration authority. I can filter my inventory view to a particular registration authority as well. Let's keep it default for now. And lastly, I can also filter my inventory view to a particular registration status, whether I just want to look for the content that is endorsed as standard or a qualified status in the registry. So let's keep it default for today's exercise. So here comes our funny bit. Here comes our main bit, when we need to select what fields I can choose to view in my inventory. For example, I am concerned with UUIDs, names, definition, and I also want to view couple of custom fields as well. So for example, who is the technical contact point for that data asset, and who is the authenticated user for that data asset. Once I am happy with the configuration of the data inventory, what I need to do is I need to click on submit, and it will give you a brief summary of what configurations you have done to while creating the inventory. For example, name, definition, who that inventory is visible to, and giving you explanation or definitions of what that particular data custom fields or fields you have selected means in the registry. So once you are happy with the configuration, or if you want to edit your configuration, you just need to simply click on edit configuration, and you will be taken back to the page where you can edit the configuration and just submit the configuration again. But I'm happy with the configurations which I have done today. So what I can do is I can click on inventory view, which will just take me to the page where I can view that inventory in the system. I am pretty proud of a few developments which our development team has done. So if I click on this, the name of the inventory, it will take me directly to the page, that inventory page in the registry. And we understand that definitions can be quite long sometimes. So to view the definition, what I need to do is I can click on this arrow and the definition would be expanded on the page. Isn't it interesting? Yeah. Yeah, but like if I want to filter on any field, I can click on this icon and I can type the text which I want to filter my inventory view to, and the results will automatically be updated to it. Last bit, I can also sort my inventory in ascending or descending order if I want to do it. And if I want to download it, I can download it in CSV and Excel format itself as well. So this is how we can form a registration authority, like a registry-wide inventory view. But as I mentioned, we can create an inventory view, particularly to a stewardship organization level as well. So how we do that? So to create that, I need to go to that stewardship organization particularly. So what we need to do is click on the browse, go to the stewardship organization, click on the browse again, and I need to select that stewardship organization. Here is the page where I can do the configuration for stewardship organizations, particularly in the registry. To create the inventory view at the stewardship organization level, I need to click on the settings and I need to select data inventory configuration. And the process is same. After that, you need to click on the create new inventory, giving the name to your inventory, writing the description, selecting the visibility, who can see it, and picking and choosing your variable and clicking it submit. So where I can view it in the registry, because we understand there can be a multiple inventories set up in the registry. There should be one standard place where I can view all the inventories in the registry. So to view the inventory in the registry, where I need to go is click on browse, and you can select inventory view and click on browse. So here is the list. Here is the place where you can see all the inventories that are being created in the registry by your administrator. And the last bit that brings us towards the end of the webinar is you can search your inventories as well. So for example, for today's activity, we have created a data inventory named as data inventory webinar. So we can type that data inventory webinar in our search bar and search it. And the search will return you with the options that are similar to the ones you have typed in, and you can click on the inventory options from the side panel. But because there is just one item present in the registry, so it's just merely giving you one option, and you can click on it and you will be directly navigated to that inventory in the system. So that brings us towards the end of our session. Yes.
Thanks, Muskan. That was pretty impressive and fairly easy. I know there's quite a bit of capability that Muskan demonstrated there, but a bit like any off-the-shelf product, once you've been working with it for a while, it becomes very intuitive to develop and view and create those different data inventory elements. So again, from the demonstration, just to recap, we saw the importing of existing inventories through the spreadsheet, through the CSV file, how Muskan created and edited inventories, of course, downloading and searching for a specific data inventory that you have created. And now I think we're moving to our last slide with a few minutes for questions. So essentially, a lot of information covered, what I would find to be a very quick 30 minutes or thereabouts. So essentially, we've tried to give you the what and why of data inventories, the current policy settings and why you're being pushed towards, good governance and good data management. Getting how to get the foundations right. So getting your organisational parameters in line to enable you to collect this information and start drawing this information about your organisational data assets. And of course, there are others, key examples of the functionalities for data inventories that we have in Aristotle Metadata. We try to do a showcase of these webinars on key features. I think there is a YouTube channel where this will appear. So I think it's sort of search Aristotle Metadata and you'll see some of the different webinars we've done in the past about different key functions. And we'll have this up edited in the next couple of days. So that brings the theory and practice of